Hey, all my friends out there. The midweek refresher is back. Finally. My name is Roger Bird from the Bridge in Allegan, bringing it to you. A couple of weeks ago, we started a series called The Fruit of the Spirit, and ironically enough, it is on the fruit of the Spirit out of Galatians 5. When we go out to the orchards here in the next few weeks and pick apples, we don't have to look around and wonder which are the apple trees out here. We simply look at the fruit that's hanging on the trees and go, oh, that must be an apple tree. Or if you're out at the Crane's orchard, there you can look and see the pear trees or the peach trees or whatever else they have out there. But it's easy to identify the tree because of the fruit that it has hanging on it. And very much like those trees, we want to be identified by our fruit so that as we walk by, people see the fruit hanging on us and they go, wow, that must be a Jesus tree over there because I can see all that fruit. We see this this concept throughout the New Testament, but Paul really lays it out in Galatians 5, verses 22 and 23. He says, but the Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against these things. These are not just great characteristics for a person to have, although they are. Really, this is descriptive of who Jesus is. These are characteristics of Jesus, and so we want these fruits produced by the Spirit in our lives because we want to look like Jesus. We want to learn to live and lead like Jesus. And so when we do that, his thoughts become our thoughts, and his purpose becomes our purpose. We will become like Jesus. That's the fruit that's being talked about here. This doesn't just happen just by itself because I don't naturally do these things. I'm not naturally a peaceful person. I'm not naturally a gentle person or faithful person. It comes through the work of God in my life and in your life. And Jesus talks about this in John 15. It's not some spooky, ethereal thing to be living a spirit-filled life. Jesus explains what that means in a very practical way. He says, I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and he prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you, for a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine. You cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, and you are the branches. Those who remain in me, and I in them, will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Not something, not a little bit, we can do nothing of real value unless we remain in Jesus. We cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. That's what Jesus said. We cannot produce the fruit of the Spirit on our own. And the Father, being the pruner, he is the one who's going to come in and take the things out of our life that needs to be taken out when we give him leave to do that, when we submit ourselves to his guidance and allow him to do the work that needs to be done in our lives. There's stories about how they grow grapes in Israel, and how as the branches begin coming off the vine in that first year, they snip the branch back to the nub. Ugly, probably not really pleasant for the branch. And the second year, the branch begins to grow and they snip it off again. And the third year, it begins to grow and they snip it off again. And the branch is going, what is going on? I just want to grow my grapes. But the gardener knows better. So that finally, that fourth year, the branch begins to grow and they let it grow. And it produces these huge bunches of grapes, huge, juicy grapes that are famous in the world. Because the gardener knows what he's doing. And the gardener had the foresight to prune those branches back so that they could produce even more fruit. And so this spirit-filled life that we hear about that produces this fruit, Jesus tells us in chapter 15 of John, it's a state of constant connectedness with Jesus. This is what Jesus calls remaining or abiding. And in doing that, and remaining and abiding in Jesus, staying connected to Jesus, we will bear the fruit of the Spirit. So it's my hope over the next several weeks as we go through each different aspect of the fruit of the Spirit that each of us, you and I included, will all begin to exhibit more and more of this fruit in our lives. And really, that's going to come out most profoundly in our attitudes. This love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control, they're all attitudinal. In other words, they are based on a choice of how I choose to deal with the world around me. When I allow the Father to prune away all the garbage, how when I want to lash out at somebody who's done something to me, or when I want to be anxious about things that are going on in my life, when I allow the Father to begin to remove that and replace it with the fruit of peace and gentleness and kindness and goodness, it's a choice that I make in my life. Not that I can do it on my own, but it's a choice that I make to allow the Father to do his work in my life. And then, as we begin to do that, as you and I walk through our lives and interact with people, we're going to have people saying to themselves, I think that's a Jesus tree over there, because I can see the fruit all over it. I'm not talking about a perfect life, but I'm talking about a life that is on a trajectory with Jesus. It's pointed toward Jesus, and it's characterized by these attributes that we call the fruit of the Spirit. Well, hey, I hope that this gives you a little something to chew on. I hope it was helpful. I hope it challenges you in your walk with God. And I pray that you're pulling closer to him and pressing into him and asking him the changes that need to be made so that we can start to look like Jesus did. Well, have a great week. I hope you're doing well. And I hope that you're growing in your faith and your love of the Father, because he loves you more than you'll know. And hey, you know what? So do I. And I will talk to you next week. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.